One man in desperate need of an endurance bicycle. 8 bikes vying for space in the living room, but only one can take home the final water bottle cage. Welcome to the Bikechelor. Filmed on location at the Sun Cruise Resort on South Korea's beautiful East Coast bicycle path. How does it feel to be the Bikechelor?
How does it feel to be the Bikechelor? What a great question. I feel lucky. Bikes today are better than they've ever been. For endurance bikes, the popularity of gravel has just made them better. We have more tire clearance than ever before, better comfort features, and even we're starting to see more threaded bottom brackets come back. Even on carbon frames, how great is that? With all the advancements on aero bikes too, endurance bikes have been able to borrow some of those frame design cues and tube shapes as well. There's even starting to be some aerodynamic wheels for really wide tires like I would want to use. Being the Bikechelor today, it just feels great.
Describe your ideal bike.
All of these great bikes have something to offer, but for me, the bike I want to come on this journey with me, of course it needs to have a good fit and it needs to have tire clearance. But all the bikes that are here today have those. But what I really want is some of those small things that take a bike from being good to being really special. Compliance in the seat post, or maybe even compliance in the stem. It's so important to be comfortable because I want my bike to be able to go on really long rides with me. Another thing I'm looking for in a bike that's going to be my special bike is to have good value components. You know, all the product managers are trying to mix and match different cheap parts and parts that they can advertise, and you know, I just want that match to be perfect for the price that I pay. You know, it costs a lot of money to make component changes to your bike, so if there was one perfectly designed bike out there, I wouldn't have to change a thing. Obviously that perfect bike doesn't exist, or I wouldn't be on the Bikechelor.
We've checked your social media history, and it looks like you've actually had dozens of bikes before.
Yeah, there have been some good bikes in the past, a lot of good memories, but it just never ended up working out. Sometimes it was the bike's fault, and sometimes it was just my fault. But the past is the past, and I'm looking forward to finding that bike to take me to the future.
Who do you think is the early favorite?
You know, now that I think of it, there is a front runner. It's the Canyon Endurace. The thing is, the Endurace, whether it's the aluminum or the carbon version, they just have the perfect geometry. It's a nice, relaxed fit, but not too relaxed. If I want to get nice and aggressive and ride with a club ride, I can do that just with a quick adjustment. The Endurace comes with a really comfortable seat post. It's been tested as one of the most compliant seat posts by multiple magazines and laboratories. On top of that, the value is spectacular. It's one of the cheaper bikes, and it comes with a full 105 group set with no parts being cheaped out on. The finishing kit, like the cockpit, is really nice too. And even the wheels and tires are the best of any of the bikes that are here. Not to mention that killer blue paint job. What's this? What do you mean the duties and taxes aren't included in the price? $240 in shipping? Plus 10% in duties and 10% more in taxes? Oh my goodness. That makes the Endurace a lot more expensive than I thought it was. One more? Oh, it's not even available. They don't know when the next one's going to be available. Okay. Well, there goes my front runner. That's okay, that's okay. There's lots of other good bikes available. We still have like 6 or 7 more models to go through. Surely one of them will be workable. One of them will work out, yeah. Huh. I'm such a lucky guy to be sitting here on a 2-on-1 date with both of the giants, the Defy and the Contend AR1. You two are just such good values. Contend, you have a 105 group set for like $1,600. Well, most of a 1x group set. But I think the best thing is your geometry is just perfect. Your stack and reach measurements are exactly what an endurance rider would want. You have mounts for fenders and racks if you want a more versatile bike, and even a carbon seat post at an amazing price. Defy, for $1,000 more, you're basically exactly the same. Similar reach, similar stack, same defuse seat post, and the same almost 105 group set. Now, when deciding between you, the value of a carbon frame is pretty high. You get some vibration damping, you save 300 grams or so. That's impressive. But I think the biggest thing here, for me, is that Contend, your bottom bracket drop is 80 millimeters, and I value running 28 mil tires. I just can't do that without risking pedal strike. So Defy, even though you're a bit more expensive, I think your more suitable geometry for the type of riding I do is going to win out. You're able to run all the tire clearance that I want. You have fender mounts, and it's just an all-around great package. For a little bit of extra, I want to be able to run the exact tires that I think are best for me. And so for that, Defy, you get the water bottle cage award for tonight. Contend, if anyone wants to run 32 mil or above tires forever, I would recommend you every time, but it's just not for me. Good luck in the future. You know, every season of the Bikechelor has a villain, and I think I've picked out who the villain is for this season. It's the Specialized Roubaix. So Specialized was already the most expensive bike on the list. It's the cheapest one that they make that's kind of suitable for the kind of riding I want to do. And even though it's the cheapest one in their lineup, it's almost $1,000 more expensive than anything else I'm looking at. And the thing is, I kind of like it. It's got a full 105 group set, except the crank, but that's okay, that's okay. The replacement crank is still 100 grams lighter than what Giant's replacing their cranks with. And it's got a really compliant seat post and future shock. On top of that, the wheels and tires they include are better than everyone else except the Canyon, and well, we see what happened to the Canyon. So, if all else fails, maybe the Specialized, even though it's the villain, it might be the one to pick. Nobody said being the Bikechelor would be easy. I just had to send home the Merida Scultura and the Specialized Roubaix. They were fighting in the other room. The Scultura was making fun of the Specialized for charging way too much. Apparently, it had another price increase just a couple of days ago. That puts it way out of my price bracket. But then the Specialized started chatting back too, clapping back maybe, as the kids say, saying the Sculptura only has 28 millimeters of tire clearance and no mounts for fenders. Not even really an appropriate geometry, which, now that I think about it, is kind of a deal breaker. So I had to send them both home. The Specialized was just too expensive, and I don't want to be paying $100 every year just to get a future shock replaced. I could just get a shock stop from Redshift Sports anyway. It doesn't even need maintenance. So they both are great bikes for their prospective buyers, but just not for me. I wish them the best, but it's really hard to let them go.
At this stage of the Bikechelor, Are you feeling let down by anyone in particular? Maybe unexpectedly let down?
That Trek Domane AL5 is quite the looker. But I'm not gonna lie, it's exceptionally heavy. Like, it's okay for cheaper aluminum bikes to have some extra weight, but this Trek has like 2 extra kilograms above the Canyon. That's a lot. I don't want to judge, but it's almost a deal breaker. I heard the wheels alone are over 2.3 kilograms, and the tires weigh close to a kilogram together too. Those things would have to be changed immediately. Not to mention it comes with a straight aluminum seat post. That's not going to have any compliance at all. The Trek does come with a threaded bottom bracket though, so that's pretty good, and a full 105 group set is nice. But a lot of those details, like the finishing kit, are just not ideal for the price that they're trying to charge. They can be changed, but the more things you change, the more expensive the bike gets and the worse value it becomes. I do love the bento box on the top tube though. The mounts for that are really nice. Overall, if none of the other bikes ended up working out, the Trek would be a fine choice, but a lot of extra money would need to be spent on things like a new seat post, new wheels, and new tires. Now, as an American, I had never really heard much about Merida before. Apparently Merida is really big and everywhere except for North America, and it's because of that Specialized, always the villain. But here in South Korea, I can get Merida. It's great. And almost all of their bikes would work. Merida Reacto. It's got to be hard being an aero bike in a big group of endurance bikes. I don't see how you do it. Well, I actually do. Your geometry is just relaxed enough that I should be able, with a full stack of spacers, to get the position that I want. And that's important, but you also bring a lot of other elements to the table that basically the other bikes don't have. Aero frame shapes, check. But you also have internal cable routing. Now, that's only going to save a couple of watts. I'm not too concerned about that. What I do like though is that it's going to free up the entire handlebar area so that I can easily mount some bags. And as a future video will tell, mounting bags in the proper way can be a great way to make your front end a little bit more aerodynamic than mounting a big sausage under your handlebars. Tire clearance is great. 30 millimeters is all that I would ever need, and even though you don't have any mudguard mounts, there are options available that should fit just nicely above a 28 mil tire. Overall, with an extra nice paint job and even a slightly comfort-oriented seat post, I think you and I could possibly have a great future. So, Merida Reacto, will you accept this water bottle cage? Welcome to our one-on-one Merida Scultura Endurance. I thought you might want to eat some peanut butter because it matches the color of your paint. You have a lot going on, and I noticed you have a lot of similarities to the Merida Reacto. I noticed those cables being tucked away, and I look forward to fitting a nice bag under those handlebars. Nice carbon frame, although that seat post has a little bit to be desired. Same goes with the wheel set. It looks a little bit heavy, but that can be replaced. I appreciate the full 105 group set, and the geometry is spot on. Bottom bracket's a little bit high for maybe some of the bigger tires that you'll fit, but with a 28 mil tire that I plan to run, it would be just fine. Overall, you have a lot going for you, and aside from enjoying this peanut butter, I'd also like for you to accept one of these bottle cages.
Disaster strikes.
Yeah, it's really exciting. The bottle cage ceremony is going to be great. With just down to 3 contestants. It's gonna be time for fantasy test rides. And after that, hometowns. Hold on, my phone's ringing. Hey, Mr. Bike Shop, how's it going? Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming by in the next couple of days to test ride some bikes. Giant doesn't have any bikes left? Like, I can move up or down a size and just change the stem. I'll get the same fit. They don't have any bikes left to distribute to dealers anywhere in the country. The whole... Okay. Well, I was looking more forward to the Meridas anyway. You sold your last Reacto yesterday. Okay, well, what about the Endurance? It hasn't been in stock in months. How about Trek? Trek was a little bit heavy, but I'll throw some money at it. It'll get usable. May of 2022. Okay. You have a friend with a used gravel bike, eh? Oh, that might be the ugliest bike I've ever seen. Well, I guess that's that. Overbiking is going to look a little bit different.
Find out what happens on the next episode of The Bikechelor.